What up?
What up? What up? What up?
What up? What up? What up? Peace and reparations, my brother.
Yeah. Welcome to the Freedman's Collective.
Welcome.
It is Conspiracy Brother here today, joined by Brother J Rocky. Um,
Yeah.
we've been planning to do another show. A lot going on in the news. Just kind of have had a busy schedule, but a lot been going on with your sister girl.
Sister girl.
You know,
Fake sister girl.
hey, sister girl in the coalition.
Tether impersonator.
As y'all can see from the name of this episode, we called it The Disrespect of Freedman Culture and Icons, Casting Pearls Before Swine. And, I tried to, play on the saying, casting pearls before swine, as in, uh, wasting something valuable on somebody who doesn't understand its value. Right. And a lot of ways I look at that as a reflection of us as a people, right? We don't understand the value of our own cultural icons. And we have a tendency to want so much to be accepted by the dominant society that we are willing to sacrifice everything and all, even those things near and dear, Brother Malcolm, Brother Martin, and the images of some of those people from the civil rights movement, people who just have been, important figures in our history. We have been willing to sacrifice, or we have been willing to allow to be abused and misused in the hope that we might be accepted in this great American scheme one day. And so I'll let you go from there. You can kind of take it, but I just wanted to give a little bit of intro just to kind of put some context to the title of the show and what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, that's great introduction, Stead. Thanks for doing the show kind of impromptu. We, like you said, we've been meaning to come on, but really it's been my fault. I've been engaged. We first and foremost, we're going to be covering a couple of different things. What happened to Jill Stein and Butch Ware on the Breakfast Club, how they were basically I won't say hijacked, but what's the word? Ambushed. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Ambushed. It was really an interrogation by the Democratic shield, Angela Rye, and the other host. Angela basically did that on behalf of K. Harris. And then we'll talk about how just recently also again linking it to the Breakfast Club, when Janet's comments were made public, and it was a lot of back and forth about whether she apologized or not. That ended up being not true. Somebody that was supposedly in her camp got fired, but issued out an apology because again he's also a Democratic shield. There's a lot of shields out here pumping for the Democrats and i.e. Kamala Harris, because the reality is those of us in the know that this playbook that the Democrats are running off of identity politics, Trump is bad, Trump is the end of democracy, when in all sincerity, both the Republicans and the Democrats are two sides of the same coin. They are no more democratic. They are no more saving the people. They are no more not corrupted by the corporate donors and big donors in this country. And honestly, I feel a lot of people. I posted on Facebook, and what urged me to really go on today, and I had to call Stead because I was going back and forth between the past couple of days. Because I want to get the word out about what Candace Owens had done. And mind you, I'm no friend of Candace Owens, but the truth is the truth, irregardless of who says it. You know what I mean? If it's true, it's true, or there's evidence or facts to be made. That's just the way it is, and really, again, this all ties into what Janet had been, and she was also ambushed by the Guardian reporter, she was supposed to be covering her for something completely different, and brought up politics and asked her about what did she feel about Kamala Harris being a possible first black woman president. And then Janet responded with, "Well, I heard that she wasn't black, that her father was actually white." Um, and then she got lambasted when these comments were made public, because this interview was done several months ago, but these comments were made public, and then of course all of the Ricky Smiley, D.L. Hughley, more so than
The
anything,
usual suspects,
the usual Democratic Shield suspects attacked her as if there's no proof, no evidence, in or no fact in anything that she had to say. And so in response, Candace Owens, of all people, went ahead and started really doing some investigative work on the background of Donald J, which is so funny because he has this first name and initials of Donald J. Trump, but Donald J. Harris. And because again, that's the quote unquote black father that would give Kamala Harris her black lineage, even though she never, for the most part, grew up in Canada. When we say black, everyone generally understands that we're not really referring to race. That's more so a lineage, right? And that's what everyone really is saying, like, you're not black. But again, everyone's attacking and say, oh, well, she's black. Well, if she's not black in lineage, at least she's black in race by being partially black due to her father. But when you go start digging into the background of her father, then you find some dubious things, and it may not be clear. Some have stated that Donald J. Harris has no African lineage. I'm not stating that. You know what I mean? I don't know, but there has been claims that he is of Hindu and white Irish ancestry, which would have made maybe not completely white, right, when Janet made that statement, but damn near partially white. You know what I mean? And again, she's not a historian. She's not a genealogist. She's not a journalist. You're asking a pop star, something on the fly that really had nothing to do with why she was being interviewed. So we're going to cover a few things, going more into that, some of the evidence that Candace found in regards to who our people were, as well as we're going to be covering things in relation to what happened on, in the Breakfast Club interview with Jill Stein and Butch Ware and Professor Butch Ware.
And I think just to kind of comment on some of the things you said, I think it's important to understand, like when you said, when we say black, what we mean. Because we live in this country and because black people live in this country, when we say black, we are speaking about foundational black Americans. That's the shorthand, just like I've heard it put this way about Hawaii. A person who's from Hawaii would not say they are Hawaiian because there are Hawaiian people, right? They would say, I'm from the state of Hawaii, but I'm not Hawaiian because there's a lineage of people who are Hawaiian, who are native to this island. They have a cultural identity and a cultural connection to this island. They lived here before the U.S. annexed this island. You know what I'm saying? They're Hawaiian. They speak a language that is known as Hawaiian. You sort of, and so in that same way, when we say a person is black or they are not black, we're not speaking about their ethnicity in the sense of race. We're speaking about their ethnicity as it pertains to their lineage, right? The same way that you would say a person is black, not Hispanic, right? When you look at that, when you fill out
that category, we fill out a job, right?
Yeah, for demographics, black, non-Hispanic, white, non-Hispanic. That's what we're saying. What is your ethnicity? You are a descendant of Freedman, or a descendant of slaves, or a FBA, Foundational Black American, or a B1. However you choose to assign that designation, that's what we're talking about. We're not saying that you might, and again, we don't know, because I have looked her up. I looked her up in 2019 when we're trying to get information on her as a candidate. You can look back at some of our old shows when we're talking about it. When we did the show speaking about that professor at Stanford who said, more white men should marry black women, or more black women should try to marry white men because they bring out their fullest potential. We broke down, the rates at which white men and black slave women had children together in the past on the census, or not the census, but it was the record, whatever record keeping metrics they had at that time. And so, you know, what happens, what appears to be happening is that they're trying to circle the wagons around anybody questioning her identity. You didn't see this with Barack Obama, right? Barack Obama had a black wife. He was very obviously had a white mother who was an American. We all knew that. His father was a Kenyan. We all knew that. He said that. He never shied away from that. He went to his village. So, you know, Barack Obama was able to be open and honest about his identity in a way that she is not. Whether that is because she doesn't actually know herself, or whether that is because she is trying to hide something that she does know, is yet to be seen, right? But the simple fact of the matter is her whole campaign and her base of support is structured around the idea that she is a black woman. And so fundamentally, you have an issue that Barack Obama didn't have, because he did not ever lean into his blackness as the fundamental reason that you ought to vote for him. That was something that the ground might have said, you know, everybody in the ground,
right,
the grassroots, so to speak, may have said, you know, I'm voting for him because he's black or whatever. Because I know people who voted for Obama who never voted, had never voted, and were eligible to vote, you know, elections prior to that, but they voted for him because he was black. But I never heard anybody in the media or in the public spaces making a big deal about the fact that Obama was black and that was the reason alone that you ought to vote for this man. In the same way that you see this happening now with Kamala Harris. And also, I just want to hit on a point before you get into it, with the Breakfast Club. What I feel, and you may agree with me, the reason Angela Rye was there, and I don't know if Jess Hilarious is on tour or whatever. I know she's coming to the Fox sometime soon with a couple different comedians, so maybe she's on tour. But the reason Angela Rye was there with Charlamagne is because Charlamagne and DJ Envy are not equipped to handle a political discussion that isn't essentially a tongue bath. And so they had to bring somebody in an attempt to be confrontational.
Right.
It backfired, as you can see from the comment section on the video, because Angela Rye is a Democrat shield. So none of her points were made in good faith. None of her critiques were made in good faith. None of her questions were asked in good faith. And so it wasn't done in order to give the Green Party, Dr. Jill Stein, Dr. Butch Ware, an opportunity to stake their platform and their case and to show why we should vote for them versus anybody else. It was intended to try to tear them down and to show them as not serious candidates. And so, again, this is what you see. The Democratic Party has its tentacles in every facet of here you got Trevor saying I'm not saying they didn't talk about him being black, but what I'm saying is they didn't try to make it seem like that was the only reason why you should vote for him, like they doing with Kamala.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we still wanted to know, like, we still thought, okay, he might give us some kind of policies for black people or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, it still wasn't like, don't even question her. She black. You want Trump to win? You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't even want you to ask questions about her record.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'll stop there because I want you to be able to get into what you was trying to get into. But it's
you want me to go first? So let me ask you this, Dad. Are we going to talk about are we going to cover the Breakfast Club interview? Because I thought maybe you was going to do that. I was more.
Oh yeah, we can. We definitely can.
We want to go straight into, you know what I'm saying, what was, you know, the whole Kamala Harris heritage thing. I'm ready.
I can pull up a couple clips from the Breakfast Club, just from that interview. Yeah. I didn't timestamp anything. This was really
that was the reason why I was like, you know what I'm saying. I could talk about. I'm ready to do, you know, my whole thing. I've been deep into this for the past couple of days with the
I've been watching
with the Kamala Harris. You know, black not black. You know, grandparents not grandparents.
Yeah,
bro, it's wild, man.
I've watched some of the videos that you sent,
bro.
I watched some of the videos that you sent.
It's like the you know the mainstream media, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna have to take a lot of people bubbling it up from from the bottom, to put pressure on it because I don't think they're gonna cover the story.
Right. So
Especially
here we go.
from.
So here we go. This is I don't know. This is the full interview is like an hour and something long.
Yeah,
but
it's hella long.
I don't know. I watched the whole thing, and it really like if you look at the comments, I'll scroll down to the comments if they come up.
Yeah,
and it says,
there they go.
So here you go. Angela was so disappointing. I'm floored by her willingness to belittle these issues. She really turned serious points into trivial topics that are part of a wish list. Wow, are you for black people and their issues or not? What's the point in fighting at all if one of black people's intellectual champions takes this stance? And this is all to defend VP Harris. That's so sad and exhausting. Somebody said I burst out laughing when Angela slammed her laptop shut and crossed her arms like a toddler. Nobody called you a white supremacist, Angela. Stop trying to find a victim cop-out. She said you are parroting those same talking points. So you can see that their comment section is not even in support of what they were trying to do. But here I'll play the video and then we can try to see if we can get into some of it. Okay. I'll speed it up. Like double speed. Probably, not double, but like time and a half.
5 or something.
Yeah. Just so we can try to.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Lauren Rose is filling in for Jess, and we have our sister Angela Rye with us.
Oh, my internet sucks. I forgot. I'm going to have you pull this up.
We got some special guests joining us. We have Dr. Jill Stein. Welcome.
Hello.
And Dr. Butch Ware.
Good morning.
Yo, yeah.
Good morning.
The Green Party presidential candidate.
I'm going to send you the link. This is not. We're not doing this today, bro.
Not today.
I got to get Comcast, man. This T-Mobile, they be trying to. I'm gonna have to get Comcast, bro. I actually don't. I don't even like Comcast, man.
Neither do I.
Hey, it's the deal with the devil, man.
Yeah, neither do I, man.
That's lagging far too much.
All right, let me see.
As soon as you turned it on, it was like video was ticking. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Okay, let me present.
Time for that.
Share screen. Where?
It says percent. It's on the bottom. It says percent.
Yeah. I know. I'm just making.
Oh,
sure.
okay. I accepted it.
All right. Okay, cool. We want to go ahead and yeah, man. Y'all, so I got premium too, bro.
Oh yeah, you are. Hey,
yeah, dog. I ain't
over there.
Commercials, man. You know.
Hey, look at it. See.
Okay.
You living the life, cuz.
In the morning, breakfast.
So,
let's see.
And we wouldn't be talking if you didn't stand in that place. This was before I was on the ticket. I said, "What's your overall vision of foreign policy?" And she said, "To dismantle the American empire." And I said, "Yeah, and you better hurry up quick and do it before somebody do it for you." Right? That those two processes look very different. If you take the $1 trillion a year that are being thrown away, murdering other people's children in foreign countries, and instead put that into investments in infrastructure, into social housing, into healthcare in this country, then that looks like a flourishing, prosperous future, not just for Black America, but for all of America, right? Where
in APAC and Wall Street power is by not knowing we have it.
My bad.
Just off that statement alone,
right?
How could you not vote for this man?
Man, groundbreaking.
As a Black American,
right?
How could you not vote for this man?
Right, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. But again, as you could let me see. So let me get back into it.
Community and a shared power structure.
And if you can just tag me in right here, Jill, I'll go back to the first question, right? How is it different? So when I was evaluating, got called onto the ticket 3 weeks ago, okay? And I had done an Instagram live with Dr. Jill Stein, and I asked her a couple of questions. I had just posted a reel where Kamala Harris had been asked about reparations.
Kamala Harris.
Okay, Kamala Harris had posted a reel.
So I'll never say her name right off the strength of the way they tried to hit you for that.
Right.
I will intentionally never say her name right. I'll never spell it right in print. I will never ever do it. If I'm ever in a situation where I have to spell her first name, I won't say it. I'll never say it right ever. I don't care what the cost.
And this is just a tactic that the Democratic shields use, right? Because to now all of a sudden it's offensive to say Kamala or Kamala or you know what I mean. Now mind you, I have never on the record ever seen her either explain how to say her name correct somebody on the record when her name was mispronounced. We all was saying her name as Kamala. And the whole time, or the other variation, I believe they're saying is Kamala, like with the like you would pronounce it, like Kamala, like with the C-O-M, like a calm, you know what I mean? Like to try to give it some Indian pronunciation or flair to it, right? Either furthering her blackness, right? in my opinion. But this stickler,
right,
is because she's such a turd burger, a nothing burger, as a candidate, as a person individually. There's so many things you can just, her record, what she's done to Black people as a DA of San Francisco, as the Attorney General of California. Her policy so negative. Her what was going on with the border, what's happened. You know what I mean? Now it's just something they do to divert, and because he's going to talk about that infamous, you know what I'm saying, interview where she claimed how she was not going to do anything specifically for Black people, but yet and still we're being, pushed to vote for her for quote unquote for being Black, but she's not doing nothing for us. You know what I'm saying? And I'm proud to say it.
And I just to hit on that point, I've had people say my name wrong.
Right, same thing.
I got a European first name,
man.
You know what I'm saying?
My name is Gerard Page. And that's the reason why I sometimes I put an H in it to help people. Says Jarrod, right, or Gerard, or right. But I've been called Gerard. Even my own grandmother didn't get my name, G-Rod.
That's what I was about to say.
My cousins to this day, my grandmother's been dead since like 96. And one of my cousins today, hey, G-Rod, you know what I mean? Say it with a G. That's how my grandma used to say it. You know what I mean? Like, bro, it's like, okay, if they ask me, how do you pronounce your name? And I tell them it's Gerard. But if I answer to Jared or Gerard or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Because damn, I'm expect somebody to say it the way that off rip, you know what I mean?
Right.
And if I don't correct somebody, I can't be offended if they say it the way and they call me Jared and I respond to Jared, and then on one day I'm just like, no, my name's Gerard. You know what I mean? Like, well, why didn't you correct me, right? So this honestly is just a Black feminist freaking talking point, you know what I mean, or a Democratic shield talking point to try to, put you in a corner, negate the things that you're saying, your criticism is just another BS thing, man. But you got any more to say about that before we continue?
I was gonna say my wife's grandmother don't say her name right. My wife's grandmother don't say her name. My grandmother,
right?
My last name is 4 letters. My parents have been together. They have been together since 1978. Okay. My grandmother died in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
She could not spell our last name without asking my mother. It's 4 letters long. Okay.
F-R-Y-E.
Right.
She got it
4 letters, bro.
4 letters.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like this whole idea.
My name is only
somehow.
Go ahead.
The whole idea that this somehow make or break.
Right. You know what I mean? Like somehow you all of a sudden racist. You know what I mean? Because Michael Eric Dyson, he did that to somebody on one of the talk shows, right? You know what I mean? I think this was the first up with a minute. He was the first person I saw. The first time that I saw was somebody really trying to make it like because he did it to a white lady on a talk show, right? A morning talk show or whatever.
He was trying to cake up with her in the DMs, though.
Right.
That's another story.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Yo, he wild, dog.
Yeah, and he from Detroit.
He's a wild man.
And he from Detroit too. That's the sad part about it, bro.
He's a wild. I want to say the N-word. He's a wild man. Okay, he's a wild man.
Yeah,
talk about you gorgeous in the
you gorgeous, yeah. But anyway, let's get to this real quick, man.
About reparations, I posted a reel where she was talking about it. She was asked, and she, sort of went around for about 90 seconds, and then she ended by saying, "I will never do anything that only helps Black people." In other words, it was a rising tide lift all boats. We're gonna have social policies
that class
that helps Black folks by default. So I asked Dr. Jill in the interview, "What's your position on reparations?" And she said they behave as though it's incalculable, but it has been calculated by specialists many times. It's between 10 and $13 trillion US, and I'm in favor of payments, cash payments to the descendants of the enslaved. So sis had my attention with that, right? The second point is I said, well, we know that you have been at the forefront of the struggle for Palestinian liberation, and as an anti-Zionist Jewish white woman, that is a powerful statement, especially seeing you get arrested at, pro-Palestine, rally. So I know where you stand on Gaza. And we wouldn't be talking if you didn't stand in that place. This was before I was on the ticket. I said, what's your overall vision of foreign policy? And she said, to dismantle the American empire. And I said, yeah, and you better hurry up quick and do it before somebody do it for you, right? That those two processes look very different. If you take the $1 trillion.
So now we was going to skip forward
over 67,000 votes. You engaged in raising money for a recount because our votes actually do matter. Can you talk about the results of that recount in those 3 states that I just named?
Sure. And let me say that every vote counts, and we believe
to try to paint them as non-serious and to try to uplift the Democratic Party. That's all she tried to do. Angela Rye does never, the viewers got to understand this. She never asked a question in good faith one time.
It was all
every
loaded.
Question, every pushback is intended to uplift the Democratic Party somehow, to boost the Democratic Party, to tear down the Green Party as a legitimate alternative for Black people. If you go on the Green Party's website, and I can pull it up, they have a comprehensive reparations platform. Now, we can squabble over a couple trillion here or there because she said 10 to 13 trillion. Some of our numbers say, 20 trillion. But the fact that you have a legitimate third party, because the Green Party is on 47 states. 47. That's real. To get them off 3 of them.
Right, exactly.
Sued to remove them off of 3.
Right.
So you got a 47 state party running for office who has a platform of reparations as comprehensive as theirs. That's who we need to be putting our. And I'm not telling, I don't really tell people who to put their vote behind because I'm still skeptical of the 2-party system and the way, what do they call it, electoral politics in general. But what I'm saying is, support wise, if I had to tell you to say, where you should align yourselves as a people, these are people we should legitimately be looking at. But you have, like the comment said, somebody who's supposed to be a representative of Black people telling us that these aren't serious.
Right, exactly. So let's go into her response.
Because every vote counts. That's why we don't want the Electoral College telling us that some states matter and others don't. Absolutely. We believe, and in terms of how we are conducting our campaign, we're in swing states, we're in red states, we're in blue states. We are all about building power and really helping to help people to grab the power that belongs to us. The fallacy there, which is what, the Democrats in particular harp on, and it's not true. The idea that votes for Greens came at the expense of votes for Hillary Clinton. We actually know from exit polls and just from talking to people who vote for us, and it's about 61% of everybody who votes for us would not have come out to vote. So those votes didn't come from Hillary Clinton, and some of them actually came from Trump too. So if you actually crunch.
So to talk about that is because, whenever you lay up any criticism towards the Democrats, the first thing they say, they just go to Trump. You know what I'm saying? Oh, well, you must be a Republican. Or if you say you're going to vote third party, then they'll say, oh, that's just a waste of vote, or you're voting, or that's a vote for Trump. No, that's not how the maths. You know what I'm saying? A vote for a person is a vote for a person. A vote for not a person is a vote for not a person. Point blank, period. You know what I mean? Me voting for, because I plan like Stedman is stating, we don't speak for the whole Freedman coalition. We don't even speak for the whole our show amongst our 4 brothers, right? But I just speak for myself. I can tell you emphatically, I am voting for Jill Stein and Butch Ware for the presidential ticket, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, what's the likelihood of them winning? Well, if you don't ever vote for them, there won't ever be a likelihood. If you constantly keep on voting for these fucking Democrats and these fucking Republicans, there will never be a fucking likelihood. You gotta vote for somebody other than these 2 motherfucking parties. It'll never be a likelihood if you don't fucking vote for them. If you don't actually put a vote in third candidacy for another party, it'll never be one. So kill me or miss me with that bullshit. Honestly. Just straight up, bro. Fucking, you'll never be one. You gotta vote outside of it for it to be one. But they got y'all so much by the freaking mental balls and loyalty behind these mofos, lesser of two evils. Well, it's gonna be an apocalypse or Armageddon if Trump gets back into office. Bullshit. We were already there. We saw what 4 years of Trump is. And guess what? He won't if you vote for the third party choice. If you vote for the third party choice, it wouldn't be one. But you're stuck. All right, Stead.
Hey.
Man, you go. What's your thoughts about that, dude? I'm just tired, bro. I'm just tired. I'm just tired of the fucking. I'm just tired of the political idiocy, stupidity, dumbness, laziness. You know, like the not having no fucking balls, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like these motherfuckers, like as if the Democrats, if we're not in fascism right now, we are fucking killing babies, dog. We are fucking killing kids with our tax money right the fuck now. What the fuck you mean, Armageddon? Tell that to motherfuckers over there in the fucking Gaza right now, the West Bank, Lebanon. Nigga, we got soldiers over in the fucking Middle East right now. That bitch lied in the fucking debate. There's soldiers over there right now. They didn't just send them. They're over there right now. Don't give me that bullshit, man. People are we going through it right the fuck now, dog. And if y'all allow this female to freaking, if you allow them to bamboozle you again and get her in office, they're never gonna do nothing for us. Cause like look, we got past that. Woo! That was a close one. But right back to way, back to normal. You think they're gonna do any policies? You think reparations? She was asked directly by the NHBJ, will you support a presidential executive commission on reparations? She said it's for the state. It's for the Congress. Knowing that it's stuck in Congress.
Hey, she get that like she having a glitch. And that's the thing. We have an infantilized with electorate, right? Everybody just infantilized because you have this juvenile conception of the voting process, right? Like, I'm married. That don't mean I hate every other woman that exists, right?
Right.
I just have one that I chose to be with for the rest of my life. But that don't mean all you other bees, y'all can kick rocks, y'all can die. I don't, F y'all, you know what I'm saying? So in that same way, if the Green Party ain't on the ticket, there's nobody, I could see Dr. West, but that would be more like a protest.
Not real. He doesn't have access to the ballot. Yeah. I had a dumb chick, and I hope I'm going to post this on Facebook since she came to my Facebook to say something about me talking about the Kamala Harris thing, right? She gonna say, I don't see why all y'all black men talking negative about Kay Harris or what have you. Y'all must love Trump. Y'all, because I ain't heard not one of y'all talk about the other black man that's running for the presidency. Cornel West. Listen, I was one of the first people to talk about Cornel West announcing him running for president. I was super excited because I knew he was for reparations. He had been, he had been tied with the other people who I'm not going to name, just like, but you know who they are. You know what I'm saying? He had came to their conference, an inaugural conference or what have you. And freaking, I was super excited. Then he had a little spat with he started off with this one particular party that had some ties to what's his name, the Bernie Sanders people, and it was kind of messy and it was a lot of politics. And then he decided to leave that. And then he was like, he announced like, hey, he's going to actually try to get the nomination in the Green Party. I'm like, yes, because they're on the ballot. Ballot access is everything, bro. You only win write-ins here in Detroit. That's the only way U.S. can happen. And when Duggan got his first, and then there was some people were saying there was some cooking in the books that got Duggan his first election because it was a write-in. It was a write-in candidate. That could work at the mayoral level, but not at a no damn presidential level.
A mayoral level where you got about 12% of people coming out to vote.
Right, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not going to work at the major level, right? You know what I'm saying? She acted like she was schooling me on, that Cornel West was had a campaign. What she didn't realize was that no, I am advocating for the Green Party and Jill Stein and Butch Ware, who's also a black man that's on the presidential ticket that is VP, but not the president, but nonetheless, he's on the ticket. Right. You know what I mean? And
apparently nowadays the vice president is just as important as the president.
I guess so.
Now that Tim Walz is there.
right, exactly. I mean, she couldn't have her first press conference, press interview without him sitting right there,
bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Coach.
Yeah, man.
Hey, they call him coach like he was the head coach. Just a little bit of a tangent, but he was like the wide receivers coach or something, bro.
Oh, he wasn't even.
You don't get no credit for winning the state championship, and you the
assistant coach.
You know what I'm saying? You didn't make no hire. You didn't set no game plan, bro. Did nobody look for you for no direction, bro? They calling him coach. I'm thinking he was the head man.
He wasn't the head coach.
That's
I thought he was the coach for real. I thought he was coach. I thought he was a football coach, like he was the head coach. No.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They said he won a state championship, bro. They would have won a state championship with whoever they got. Because you wasn't the head coach.
Yeah,
but exactly. I mean, your point exactly, right? Unless we stop participating, all the Green Party needs is 5% in order to get federal funding for their elections, which is massive for reach, right?
Keeping those ballot lines open, because that's really the main thing. And Jill, I saw it in another interview. She's like, we protect our ballot lines, right, from election to election. You know what I'm saying? And that's huge, bro, because to try to do that on your own, because you're going to see the things here's the thing. We're in a fascist situation with the Democrats being in control. We just seen the lady who has gotten 0 primary votes. She dropped out before Iowa happened in the 2020 election. No one has voted for her for president. You could say statewide in California as senator and AG, but not for president. She was polling so bad in her own state. That's the reason why she dropped out before the Iowa caucus. Done with. In 2019, never made it to Iowa, bro. Never made it to the very first one.
She did worse than Pete Buttigieg. She did worse than Pete Buttigieg.
Nobody, man. And then somehow, you know what I'm saying? She got pushed by the black feminists and the boule Biden, because in essence he would have never even, he was trailing. It wasn't until Clyburn and his shenanigans got made it to where he won in South Carolina. Also the collusion of Obama and the rest of them telling everybody else in the Democratic primary to drop out so they could consolidate support behind Biden.
Except Elizabeth Warren.
Yep, and Elizabeth Warren, Buttigieg, all of them. What's her name? The one from Minnesota, Wisconsin.
Amy Klobuchar.
Klobuchar, all of them dropped out. You know what I mean? So now it could be a establishment against Bernie Sanders, right? You know what I mean?
Like I said, don't forget, Elizabeth Warren didn't drop out. So then they split the progressive vote. This is the thing that was always weird to me.
Yeah, exactly. They split exactly. You know what I mean?
That was weird to me.
She's a shield, bro. You know what I'm saying? Just like all of them, man. Ain't not
through.
And Bernie ended up being as well because he should have held his vote back. You know what I'm saying? He should have told his people, to hold his vote back. But no, Anyway, that's why it doesn't make sense through the Democratic Party or going through the Republican Party. It doesn't make any sense because you can't change them. You cannot change them, bro, because these are organizations that have been around for hundreds of years. Just the Justice Democrats, all of that, boo-boo. You see what AOC's doing. She's attacking Jill Stein and all of them. You see,
right.
You know what I mean? They're acting as if that the Harris and them are really trying to do anything progressive with the Palestine and Israeli situation, with the genocide situation, bro. You know what I'm saying? They all connected to corporate money, man, and that's they're all connected to big donors. right? You know what I mean? Anybody comes in there, they ask them out. You see what they're doing to Rashida Tlaib. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not a big Rashida Tlaib fan, being from Detroit, but nonetheless, you know what I'm saying? They straight up lying on her. She talked about how, at U of M, there was protests, the Palestinian protests, protests would happen all across the country. Those students got arrested, people got arrested, people could not, and a lot of them were Jewish people. And she was saying, well, look, I'm noticing there's a difference between the Democratic Attorney General, Dana Nassel, whatever her name is, who's also a lesbian. I'm noticing there's a difference, right, on how the protesters are being treated from this versus BLM, all the rest in the third. You know what I'm saying? They weren't getting the same type of treatment. They went on to say, because Dana Nassel is I guess Jewish. I didn't even know. She don't. I had no idea. I thought she was something else. I thought she was Hispanic or something. But anyways, she's. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't even know until this article just recently came out. Because Rashida Tlaib made that assessment, that analysis, or what have you, they was like, oh well, she's attacking them because she's Jewish. What? Like, she never said anything about the protesters being Palestinian or anything. She didn't make Rashida Tlaib made no comment about. She just said, I'm just noticing that there's a difference between how you treating all the other protesters versus these protesters. You know what I mean? And they made no note about her religion, her sex, anything, her sexual orientation, nothing. But somehow that became the talk that now Rashida Tlaib is anti, because she's not. You know why? Because she is not supporting Kamala Harris. She refuses to endorse Kamala Harris because she's Palestinian and she's sticking with her people. I wish we had black congressmen people that would do that, bro. That would stick with us. That would get behind us and say, no, I'm not going to push the party machine and all this other BS that don't got nothing to do with my people. But when something comes up with my people, we always somehow, they always seem how to flake out. Look at what's happening in California with the reparations bill that the black caucus, you know what I'm saying, inside of their state legislature is sure that it will fail. Right. It's sure that it will fail. Yet we pass the stuff for we pass the stuff for people who are not even citizens. That's what you're going to get. More of that if Kamala Harris is freaking elected. We're gonna get more of that. We're gonna get more of them having money, what you call EBT cards, hotels, things of that. Look what's happened to Eric Adams right now. They brought federal charges on some, bro. That's the worst bribery. $100,000 over 5 years for tickets, and you know what I'm saying. Not to say that was illegal. Technically, it's illegal. But that's like, bro, I thought, man, they doing way.
Joe Biden's son was getting paid millions of dollars.
Millions by China.
Nancy Pelosi was they just accused her. Trump just accused her of insider trading because her husband sold Visa stock in July. And they did the Department of Justice just announced that they were going to be suing or whatever Visa because they said they have a monopoly or whatever based on their card processing. So there's all this corruption going on, and Eric Adams, you getting him because he got maybe a $9,000 plane ticket for $1,000 and access to a Sky Club,
like the smallest. And listen, I'm no Eric Adams fan. You know what I'm saying? I'm no Eric Adams fans, but I'm just saying, bro. It's just like, look at the hypocrisy, bro.
Well, this should be his Negro wake up call.
Yeah,
because just like my dad always talk about the movie Superfly. And you remember what was his name? Bumpy in Superfly, the old dude who had
He said he told him you ain't a pimp, you just a rest haven for hoes. That particular song, that famous song.
After he had his club, and you remember he had a legitimate business. He didn't want to sell heroin no more.
Right.
So then they ended up killing him. They injected him. He OD'd in his Rolls Royce under that bridge. After they don't have no use for you, they get rid of you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So that's the same with Eric Adams. You can push a Democratic line all you want to, bro. But just one slight criticism, because all he said was the federal government ain't giving us no help with these immigrants.
Right.
Eric Adams' whole life turned upside down now.
Upside down. You don't think that they didn't know that prior hand? All them years, because they went back to 2016, 2017.
They even remember that lady came out, said, trying to meet to him. Joe Biden's son have been caught smoking crack on camera more times than I can, think of almost anything, that you would consider rare on camera. And ain't nothing happening. This cat's still walking around freely. They found cocaine at the White House. And they said it was in an interest that only he really would have had access to, like family.
Yeah.
And he's still around here.
Let's get back into it real quick.
Man.
The numbers, what you see is that the outcome would not have changed.
The meat of it.
We want other choices. And not only do people want other choices, they want to hear their choices.
I do believe in a third party. I think we need other options. But it does seem like you all have a lot more smoke for the Democratic Party. I just wonder why.
Yeah. So if I can jump in on that particular point. So to kind of finish the previous one, I absolutely would not be in this race if I didn't think that we had a chance to win. I wouldn't waste y'all's time, and I wouldn't waste my own time. So that's number one. We have had to, up until this point in time, target the Democrats specifically because they're the ones that are suing to keep us off the ballot. They're the ones that are trying to knock us off the ballot in Georgia. They are the ones that are doing everything they can to keep us from coming. If we were not a problem for them, AOC wouldn't be, doing her little sorry attack ads, against us,
So again, we are living in a fascist corporate duopoly. Fascism is the blending of corporations and private interests with the government. It ain't just the Hitler, High Hitler in the brown shirts. It's not just that. Fascism, the roots is fasci, what it means is to tie together. That's why their symbol is the sticks, the old Roman sticks with the thing around it. That was the old symbol. Meaning, hey, out of many is one. They tie together. That's what fascism means, you stupid motherfuckers who don't know shit about real politics and about history or any fucking thing. And you sit up here on a fucking high horse and try to denigrate people who are trying to open up the minds and tell people, listen, people, these motherfuckers ain't no better than the fucking Republicans that you're trying to scare us with. They the same shit, just a different version of it. One's goat shit and the other one's lion shit or whatever type of shit you want to describe, right? It's still shit. It ain't, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, bro, I want to get the fuck up out of this country, bro. Honestly, man, I want to get the fuck up out of this country, man. Honestly, dude, because it's because of our condition. It's because of our condition, dog. You know what I mean? Honestly, I really do believe. Go ahead, Stan.
Well, so like what you just said, people get caught up in, this fascism. I've said this before on this show, on the Freedman Collective, that Black Americans have always lived under fascism. So first off, that ain't nothing new to us, no way. The lady in, I forget her name now, Sonia Massey, got shot inside her house and she called the police. They shot her in the head. That ain't fascism? And everybody covers for her? I posted a link. I can try to find it.
Fuck a Project 2025. We've been in Project 1619, 1776, 1850, freaking, you name it. We've been living Project that shit forever, bro. You ain't gonna scare me.
The Innocence Project posted a link because we always talk about how Black men are, the most incarcerated. They say Black people, but it really is Black men.
Yeah,
we're the most overrepresented in prison, right? That's what they always talk about. But here's I want to just bring the statistic up from the Innocence Project just so we can see it in black and white.
You want me to stop sharing? So
no, you good? Because I can share both at the same time.
Okay, you do both.
And
okay,
I can just bring yours back up. Yeah.
Okay, that's what's up.
Yeah, so that way you ain't gotta. But here, this is from the Innocence Project. They want you to donate. I don't have any money to donate. You know how it is. But look at this stat. Now, we always hear that Black men are the most overrepresented in prison. But look at this in numbers. 57% of the people freed or exonerated by the Innocence Project have been Black. Now, they say Black, but this is overwhelmingly Black men.
Black men, yeah.
We make up 13% of the population as a whole.
So you mean Black men is even less than that, of that 13, right?
Right. So
probably more women
let's just say, to be fair, we'll say 7% out of 13.
Just say 7, yeah.
even though we know there are more black women after a certain age than black men.
Right.
We'll say we make up 7% of the population. 57% of the people freed or exonerated by the Innocence Project have been black men. 52% of the people exonerated since 1989 have been black, and 75% of those who were exonerated after a guilty plea were black and brown people. Now, brown people make up approximately 20% of the population. That includes white Hispanics too. So that's why the whole brown is not really a good shorthand for Hispanic, because there are white Hispanics. You see what I'm saying? So when you say black and brown, you completely disregard white Hispanics from the equation of the number of people. But not 20% of the country is Hispanic, meaning white, brown, black, whatever. Okay? And so understand that. Just like what you were saying, this is fascism. There's, like Malcolm said in his autobiography when he was talking about gambling, the house always wins. I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember it exactly. But the house always wins because it's cheating. You don't get numbers like this in a normal free society unless you're saying that black people, black men, are inherently violent or prone to crime, in which case these numbers wouldn't be here because they wouldn't be freed. They would be in prison. So either our justice system is inept against good legal counsel, or it's inept and it's full of criminal prosecutors and criminal cops and judges. Which one?
Of which your nominee for the president was one of them. Of which the one that she just replaced created the environment for this to exist. And so, y'all could turn a blind eye and then to that. And then you say, because I'm going to vote green, that I'm supporting Trump. Fascism and Trump. And democracy.
And then or even to bring up the Central Park 5.
Bro, that was an ad.
Literally everybody who had a hand in that case was a Democrat. The governor, the mayor, the prosecutor, the judge, I'm sure the police.
Yeah, definitely. Their unions.
Donald Trump was a Democrat
at the time. All right. You know,
everybody throughout that chain was a Democrat. You still talking about fascism?
The
fascism coming from the right. We are literally surrounded by. We live in a fascist police state. Me and my wife were driving down the street, and we saw it was like a decommissioned military armored vehicle, and it was a police had taken over. I don't know if it was Grosse Pointe Police or it must have been, or Detroit Police. But she was like, I could see her get nervous. She was like, "What's that?" I said, "Well, Bill Clinton allowed for decommissioned military equipment to be used by local police officers, and so did Obama. He allowed decommissioned military equipment to be used by local police officers, local police departments. So that's probably what that is." She was like, "Why would you need something like this?" Because you live in a fascist country. That's why.
Exactly. The whole, and Biden was the architect of this shit, of creating. Because listen, these poor whites didn't have jobs because guess what? NAFTA and all of them, they helped push all the jobs overseas. So the poor white boys in these rural communities in Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Michigan, all over the world. So guess what? They just replaced that with? Y'all just become prison guards, police officers, public service. You know what I mean? That's what, you know what I mean? Because those were the most heavily entrenched Democratic unions. Right, y'all just become that. We'll send these niggas to house these private prisons, and everybody making money off of it. Everybody making money off of it. Trump didn't do that shit. Trump didn't do that. Harris literally fought against prisoners who had done their time. It's time for them to go. We ain't saying they was innocent. We ain't even talking about their innocence or not. There's just that it was time. Hey, they did their time. They had done their penalty to society. She fought. Her office fought from getting released. They had to take the Supreme Court of California to say, no, you gotta let these people go. She was like, if we let them go, we ain't gonna have nobody to fight the fire of the fires and that was happening in California and doing all the other menial jobs that, you know, these private prisons and state prisons, you know, need work labor for. Her, not Trump. Don't tell me that that Trump is more a problem than her or Biden. And y'all voted for that and are advocating for vote for that, and then gonna turn around and call me a coon? Gonna turn around and call me a fucking wannabe white person? Are you serious, you fucking ignorant assholes? It's all because y'all ignorant, or you willfully ignorant, you willfully dumb, or you got a stake in the game.
Well said. I'll bring the video back up. But, I mean, yeah, like I said, with those numbers, that's exoneration. That's not conviction. The Innocence Project, I think they only take up cases where they got like a 90 or 95% success rate. So when they looking at cases, they don't accept every case that somebody say, hey, I'm innocent. They look at the evidence, and unless you got like a 90 or 95% chance of having your conviction overturned, they don't take your case. So that's not even all the people who are innocent who are still in prison. Look at Marcellus Williams. You don't think it's fascism to kill an innocent man? The prosecution even said, hey, we don't know what's going on here. We don't think he should be put to death. We kind of have some lackluster whatever. One of the witnesses was a crackhead, and the other one was in jail. No physical evidence pointing him to it. The only fingerprints on the murder weapon were the prosecutors. And they just killed the man 2 days ago. We don't live in fascism?
Right
this
now.
Ain't even the last time this has happened. I was just reminded of the time a couple years back. The man in Georgia, I had the article. I pulled it up and I forgot it. But his name was, let me see. His name was, I'm trying to find it. You remember the guy I'm talking about in Georgia? He got put to death.
So many. It's so many, bro.
Troy Davis,
yeah. That name rings.
He got put to death with no evidence. You see what I'm saying? Black men in this country have existed and occupied essentially the same space for as long as we've been here. And so any attempt to try to portray any of us who have decided to take another tact as sellouts or coons or toms or anything is a projection. And when it comes from the right, what it shows is that the right, not the right, when it comes from the left, what it shows is that they have the same animosity, hatred, and bile inside of them for black people that they say the right has.
And more specifically black males. More specifically black males, bro.
Who has his own mind, who has his own opinion, and who has his own self-determination. That's what you're saying. Ultimately. James Baldwin talked about this. Malcolm X talked about this. But I'll let you keep going.
Yeah. How much more are we gonna cover? I'm just gonna see if we get into the crux of the Angela Rye effery.
This aspirational hope that is related to like black achievement and black power and by training. It's a Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Boeing.
Petition. They have also advertised publicly for infiltrators and spies to mess up our ballot drives, and they also hijacked our public funding, $300,000. I know it's not a lot in the scheme of what Democrats and Republicans run on, but we are a grassroots, people-powered, low-budget party. That public funding meant a lot, and that's part of the reason why we're not on in three states.
I just have a question, and I would want all y'all to chime in on this. Is it fair to call the vice president a war criminal when she's actively calling for an end to the war in Gaza and she's just the vice president?
Well, it's lip service. She could.
What James Baldwin would say, I can't believe what you say because I see what you do. You have the power to influence policy now. Sorry,
she's the vice president. Yes.
But she could at least speak out. She could speak out.
But she is.
No, she speaks out in the same way that Biden does.
Palestinians on the stage. We talking about
not a single one.
Where they held them off, where they slaughtering them like animals in Gaza, and then they muzzle them like animals at the Democratic.
Even when they are faithful supporters of the party and of their candidates, they still would not allow.
The party of democracy. The party of democracy, right? Democracy's gonna end if Trump gets in office. What you mean? It never even really existed. You know what I'm saying? To begin with, and this is what
Right.
y'all
It ain't never been here for
telling
us
me
in
to
the
vote
first
for
place.
this. Go ahead, Sid.
Well, they never, as I've stated, black men have never lived, black men have never lived in a democracy. We have never had that in this country. It ain't never, everything we've ever gotten is fought for tooth and nail. And so this whole, this is why we have to make sure we teach our children history. This is really why it's important to go and teach your children history so that people like Angela Rye, because Charlamagne don't know nothing and DJ Envy don't know nothing. So they can't teach you anything. All they can do is share stupidity. Angela Rye is willfully miseducating and misleading people, right? Because they think we have this tendency to believe that people who look like us don't have the capacity to do evil. That's one of the things that Obama did do, right? Mm-hmm. Because he had a smiley face and he had a nice wife and he smoked menthols. We just, oh man, he cool. He, you know what I'm saying? He play basketball. He cool. He get a, you know what I'm saying? He get a fade, whatever. He cool. He you know. So we get sucked into this idea that because I can't commit evil on nobody, because I have integrity, because I have morals, everybody who look like me got morals and integrity, and they couldn't hurt nobody either. They can't be war criminals. Now, just like we talked about, you made this big deal about Tim Walz being her running mate. Like that somehow signified that she was going to be progressive because Tim Walz has some kind of control. And then when we say, well, fine, why isn't she exerting any control over Joe Biden's foreign policy? Completely, let's leave the fact that she has already said Israel have the right to defend itself, and we're going to keep arming Israel so it can defend itself. Completely disregard that, which is a statement I disagree with, right?
100%.
I don't necessarily agree with the idea that Israel has the right to defend itself because we have to get to the bottom of whose land is it. Now, if Germany, if Poland would have given some territory up to Israel in Europe, then we'd be having a different story. But you have imposed upon the Middle East people who are European, and I don't think that's a controversial statement, although I know the wrong ears here, it is a controversial statement. But it's not a controversial statement to say this, that these are European people who have been planted into the Middle East for other purposes. Maybe that statement wouldn't be something that I disagreed with, but you heard her say this, that Israel has the right to, so you don't even have to, but you can disregard that. She still has not spoken out against Biden's policy of believing that Israel has the right to defend itself and that we need to continue to arm Israel for self-defense when in all actuality, it is offensive actions that is taken. You see what I'm saying? But they want to gaslight you and lie to you and have you believing that what they say on this hand ain't true on this hand. You cannot have it both ways. Either the vice president has some say and some sway within any administration, or they have none. And they need to make their minds up, and we need to not fall for it.
I mean, basically, bro, we know that Biden is not running the government. Biden is incapacitated, bro. The man is, so somebody's running it. And I would think, presumably, it would be her. Or she would have some, you know what I mean? Because she's a heartbeat away. You know what I mean? She's not brought into anything. Like, I'm just, you know, and but anyway,
I'm sure she's, I don't think she's running anything, but I'm sure she's the rubber stamp. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she's definitely tied into to some sort of political.
Yeah, she knows, they tell her what they need her to know.
Right.
But she's like a rubber stamp, if anything, because they don't trust her either. I mean, you look at her, some of these interviews she's given on MSNBC and CNN. Interviews, they're not hostile interviews at all.
We're going to go into that too.
The NABJ interview, like you said, these are not even hostile interviews, and she's not able to have a coherent interview process where she states her claim in a way that makes her more likable or makes her more electable, or none of that.
In fact, while we in the middle of that, let's talk about that. Can you, am I sharing it? I'm share this.
He's still sharing.
Okay, let me go here. Let's cover that. So this is a podcast. PBD, Patrick Bet David. They're talking about the most recent interview that Kamala Harris did, softball interview. We'll go into it right here.
Listen to her answer. Go ahead.
Expanding that child tax credit, or you mentioned housing before, giving that extra money for a first home. If you can't raise corporate taxes, or if GOP takes control of the Senate, where do you get the money to do that? Do you still go forward with those plans and borrow?
Well, but we're going to have to raise corporate taxes, and we're going to have to make sure that the biggest corporations and billionaires pay their fair share. That's just it. It's about paying their fair share.
That's not an answer.
Expanding
You're
that
running
child
for president. Well, you sound like a dictator. We're going to have to.
Yeah.
Right. She's asking you, how are you going to do it? Rob, can you pull the clip, if you have it, with her debriefing after the interview where she says, honest, that's the one right there. If you could play this clip. So she's not being interviewed afterwards saying, so how was it? Go ahead.
Talk about that answer. I do, but here's what's a little tricky. She doesn't answer the question around, if the GOP is controlling the Senate, if she can't raise corporate taxes, where is she going to get the money from? To expand the child tax credit and do all the things she wants to do. And she says, we just have to do it. And that's great. And that's a campaign promise. But the issue is, if it means we're just going to borrow again, then what we're doing is we're just never addressing the deficit. And back in the days when you were a proud Republican, debts and deficits mattered.
Rob, and then go to her, Stephanie Rule, on Bill Maher.
Mm-hmm.
Go to her on Bill Maher. Yeah, right there.
Right there.
That's the one. You just had it. Right there. Okay. Go for it. Watch this exchange.
Ask Kamala, say, are you for a Palestinian state if Hamas is going to run that state?
Okay.
Yes or no?
And let's say you don't like her answer. Are you going to vote for Donald Trump?
No, I'm not.
Kamala
I just said I'm not going to vote for
Harris is
her.
not running for perfect.
Oh,
She's
God.
running against Trump. We have two choices. And so there are some things you might not know her answer to. And in 2024, unlike 2016 for a lot of the American people, we know exactly what Trump will do, who he is, and the kind of threat he is to democracy.
I don't know.
Threat to democracy. Here we go. Oh,
Same BS, man. But it goes on. Let me go a little bit further.
Pause break from the dumbest brainwashed audience.
With Kamala, dumb. We don't know her answer to anything.
Yes.
Okay?
You know
And I
his
think
answer to everything.
And that's why I would never vote for him, and people shouldn't vote for him. But people also are expected to have some idea of what the program is of the person you're supposed to vote for. You're just not supposed to say, well, you have to vote for Y because X is this, that, and the other. Let's find out a little bit more. And I don't think it's a lot to ask her to sit down for a real interview.
90 in the audience are awake.
Within the Democrat Party, you are.
So, and then we're gonna get to a point. Hold on, going to that. There's gonna be a point in the where the same question was asked of this point that Angela Rye is going to try to make about how the Green Party needs allies and things of that nature.
you got to swap the video back. You know, you sharing the other tab
You're
now.
spies and infiltrators on our
fine.
campaign.
Yeah, no, because I can't see
It's all good.
the
It's
people
all
that are
good.
behind me.
It's all
So
good.
no
But
disrespect.
could it
Angela.
be-
We're all having healthy conversations. by the way.
I'll sit
Nobody's
over-
against
I will
anybody.
sit
I
over here.
agree.
Now,
But
listen,
no.
listen,
It can't just be this wish agenda. I love a lot of what you all have on your agenda. I'll call it the after 7, ready or not agenda. I'll give you the sun, the rain, the moon, the stars, and the mountain. But there's really
Wait, who called it a wish list? You mean
No, I'm calling it that.
the same people that spend $1 trillion of y'all's money blowing up other people's
No,
kids
no,
are
but
saying
I
it's a
just-
wish list to have actual social programming?
I think
I'm sorry,
that
that's
they're.
propaganda,
I
man.
think
That's
I think
propaganda.
it's not propaganda. I'm saying it because I've worked on Capitol Hill. It's very difficult to get what you're trying to achieve. So just for example.
But when the same question we just looked at, in essence, that was the same question that was asked of the lady that she's supporting, and how does she fucking answer it? With nothing.
See, so that's the thing, like what you just said. So one thing that I always notice about her, Kamala Harris, is whenever they ask her a question and there's ever any pushback ever, it's like she didn't ever practice somebody saying no in her life. Like, I don't know. I've seen pictures of her when she was young. I don't know. Maybe I'm just, but she ain't that fine. You know what I'm saying? She's nice looking. Maybe she's nice looking for a lawyer or whatever.
Right.
Maybe she's nice looking for a prosecutor. Like, I don't know. I haven't really had a lot of experience with the legal system. So maybe like, man, you bad for a lawyer. Like, but I went to HBCU. Like, I went to Morehouse. Spelman was right there. Like, so I've seen some chicks that was like, man, she bad. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't even know if you was just bad for whatever. Like, I don't know. But like,
she definitely doesn't seem like
not used to people telling her no.
Right.
Because whenever you just like when the lady gave her that interview in the Griot, and she was like, so are you going to do anything like reparation for black people? And she was like, well, no. Like, it's like her brain freezes. And she doesn't know how to respond to any type of pushback. And I mean, to the point you're making now, right? So it's just got to happen. And that's it. And so then the lady who's interviewing her, I forget her name, says, well, if she says something and she don't really answer the question right, and I push back, what good does it do? Because are you going to vote for Trump? And so it's just like, essentially the news anchor lady is telling you that from their perspective, all this is an exercise in futility because their objective is to make sure they don't damage her so bad that you vote for Trump.
Right.
Or that you don't vote at all.
Right.
That's the perspective. And Angela Rye here, who is a Democratic operative, she's told you countless times she worked on Capitol Hill. She's worked for Democrats. She works on CNN. Her objective is to make sure that you vote for Kamala Harris, that you don't vote for the Green Party, that you don't vote for Donald Trump. That's her objective. So she's not giving you an honest critique. She's not, like I said, she's not doing any of this in good faith. And it's good that in all these clips and in the comments, when I read the comments earlier, the clip on Bill Maher's show, that the people aren't falling for it, right? You can censor a YouTube channel, you can censor a comment section, you can censor a Facebook page, but you cannot censor what people say in real life, not yet. You can't censor how people laugh and joke in real life in an auditorium or a sound stage. You cannot affect how people really think about what you're saying. And people can see now whether they act on that, you know, whether that drives them to the polls to make a selection for the Green Party or, you know, some other type of vote in protest, or whether that makes them stay home is yet to be seen. But, you know, they're offering you absolutely nothing and are proud of it. They are proud of it. They're not even ashamed.
No. We'll see how the Jill answers this.
Example.
Jill can talk about what you can do just from the executive
Dr.
office.
Ware,
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Just for an example, I'd love to know how many voting members in the United States House of Representatives?
So we have been blocked. The Democrats throw us off the ballot. They interfere. They put spies and infiltrators on our campaign.
How many voting members?
Compare us.
No. Answer the question. How many voting members in the United States House of Representatives, Republican, Democrat, and Independent? How many total?
How many total are there? What is it? 600 some?
No,
you know,
it's 435.
plus 100 in the Senate, right?
100. Yes, I said House of Representatives.
Okay.
100 in the Senate. Of those 435 in the House, of the 100 in the Senate, how many? Just one moment. I'm not trying to put you on the defense. I'm just saying this because the Hill is my passion. That's where I grew up as a professional, right? How many of them are Green Party members?
Okay, I know where you're going with
I'm
this.
Not going
you are
anywhere.
attempting to show that the Greens are powerless. I want to make the point.
I was not trying to show you're powerless.
Well, this is usually part of that argument.
What was the point you were trying to make, Angela? What was the point?
I'm going
before you rebuttal, Dr. Stein, what was the point?
I want to know how many voting members of the Green Party in the House or the Senate currently exist.
Currently, there are none. However, if you look at the American people, you know, how many are voting against the genocide? Hardly any. How many are voting for healthcare as a human right, which would actually save us $500 billion a year? We, the people, are not represented. So not being there is not a strike against the Green Party.
Okay, and that's fine. How many of them right now, based on, and I called it a wish list, it wasn't to be offensive, is I have a wish list too. I got one in the ideal man. I want
to. It's dismissive to refer to a party platform.
What I'm saying is, it's not dismissive. Hear my heart. Right? I heard your heart on the mispronouncing of Kamala. Hear my heart.
All right.
because there are none that currently exist, that means you got to have allies. Who are your
absolutely.
allies in the House and Senate
Excellent
to help them?
question.
See,
Excellent
if y'all would have
question.
just slowed down a minute, y'all had guns blazing.
I told you it was a healthy conversation.
Right?
We're not
Like,
trying
come on. We got to do basic
Child,
math.
please let me finish.
So the whole point of this was to try to say, like, okay, if you get elected, you're not going to have any Green Party members in the House to actually effectuate what you want to get passed. But I can skip a little bit above. I'd rather them give the answer.
As the executive, the president has a fair amount of executive authority to actually begin the process. So that process begins with stopping the genocide on day one, which happens with a phone call. It's happened before. This absolutely will happen, especially if we invoke the weapons embargo.
So would you say that you don't need allies?
On issues where you have executive authority, what you need are allies among the people, but you don't need the votes in Congress for much of this agenda to declare a climate emergency, which we have. The Colorado River is about to shut down. We got people dying from heat, from inadequate food supply. People can't afford their food. Yet the major source of food in the U.S. Is in deep trouble right now. The Colorado River is within 1 to 2 years of shutting down. That supplies the California agriculture system. It's drought. Yeah.
You got Dr. Stein and Dr. Ware freeballing basically.
Mm-hmm.
She got a laptop trying to look up stuff to try to stump them in real time. This is why I'm telling you, these people they don't, like you talked about Rashida Tlaib earlier. We don't have people who can get elected to office who have integrity. It's like, this is why, I'm suspicious of electoral politics, because we don't have people who can get elected to office and actually effectuate change. Right. The system ain't set up that way. You know what I'm saying? Rashida Tlaib just happens to live in a district that is overwhelmingly of a certain demographic that is also really outside of the mainstream of American American political life. And so she's really like safe. You know what I'm saying? In a way that most candidates aren't. And I guess the other benefit she has is that demographic votes. You know what I'm saying? We don't have Black Americans have become so apathetic to the process that they also don't vote. So then you don't even get a chance to entrench candidates like you used to be able to 50 years ago, because you would still vote for them even if they were powerless to do anything at the national level, materially for the community. So, but Angela Rye sitting here, listening to my heart and all this other stuff. Kamala Harris' name is not important. The reason it's not important is because, like I've said on, I think I did it on another show, another episode. If we spoke Hindi, then saying her name wouldn't be a problem for us. But we don't. Just like you could see some people, Daquan and Davion and all this stuff, you know how to pronounce those names, even if you might pronounce them slightly wrong, because we have experience with those names, right? Those are names familiar to us. That's why I said even my name is just a European name, and people still mispronounce it, right? But there's a familiarity with that type of spelling, with that type of pronunciation, because we have a cultural connection to those names. People who, even what's that girl from the comic book character, Miss Marvel, the new character that just came out like in 2016. Her name is Kamala. It's pronounced Kamala. It's spelled the same way. Her name is Kamala Khan. She's supposed to be Pakistani. So, I mean, you have to kind of miss me with all this pearl clutching about a mispronunciation of a name when there appears to be multiple pronunciations. And like you said, she's never corrected anybody about it. I'm sure this isn't the first time somebody's looked at her name and said, wow, this is tough. I ain't going to be able to pronounce this. What is your name? And she's just had to deal with it, roll with the punches. I'm sure at Howard, there was some old Black teachers that she hadn't had class with that was like, baby, what's your name?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because if you was at Howard in the 80s, you had some teachers that was born in the 1900s.
Right.
You might have had some born in the 1800s.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they ain't seen nobody named Kamala nowhere. So this is all, it's a smear job, and it's a bad smear job. And the reason we know it's bad is because the comment section does not fall for it, right? the people in the comment section don't fall for it. So that's how we know it's a bad smear job.
So, man, since we talked about clutch and pearls, right? Because that was that's the whole title of our show, right? And throwing pearls in front of swine. I think that'd be a good time to pivot on what happened with Janet Jackson. You want to bring up that, man?
Sounds good.
Or educate people to what actually occurred this past week. Did you want to feature that? Or at least talk about what happened with Janet.
We can pull that up. I know. I'll say this to start off that your boy, I am almost 100% convinced. I'm like 99.7% convinced that D.L. Hughley must have been at some Diddy parties or something. Because the way he's crashing out at every turn over Kamala Harris, bro, it really is no other explanation that I could think of to justify the way he's been acting. You know what I'm saying? He is crashing out hard over her. And, her being a prosecutor, her having connections to the California legal system, him being a lifelong California resident, that's the only thing I can think of. He must have some dirt because she
for her to switch.
You know what I'm saying?
From 2019, talking about her, you know what I mean? And to now, you know what I'm saying? He lied. Like he literally said he lied. Not that I was mistaken or anything, which isn't true. Everything he initially said was factual and actual. But for him to turn around to just be this ardent, you know what I'm saying, Kamala supporter, I mean, he even attacked Janet for her nose, and it was pretty bad. His comments about Janet Jackson in reference to Kamala Harris.
Completely.
Did you want to look that up?
Oh yeah, I can look up the video or tweets.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So let's see. I'll share this tab from the Daily Beast. Says comedian D.L. Hughley slams Janet Jackson's white nose over Kamala Harris insult. Look at him. Don't you know he do some kind of drugs? Like, look at his eyes. And the way he's like real jittery and stuff.
Yeah.
He's real fidgety. I don't know if he does some kind of drug. I mean, I know a lot of them cats out there do drugs. So, I don't have any proof that he does any. But his hair is jet black and his beard is white. And so that's just interesting that he wants to, But it says, quote, king of comedy and
you're not sharing the article, bro. Are you sharing? You're going to share the article?
Oh, I'm not? Let's see.
No, I don't see it.
Oh. Yeah. My bad. I didn't have it pulled up. There we go. Should be added to stage now. So
yeah, I see it now.
Go back to the top from the Daily Beast. And like I was saying, his hair is jet black, his beard is white. I mean, I'm sure he's had some work done somewhere. I don't know if it was any good because he still looked like a old dog, but and now so it says, quote, king of comedy, end quote, D.L. Hughley didn't mince words in response to Janet Jackson's viral comments about Vice President Kamala Harris's race. And I want to be completely honest. He probably was the least funny of the three comedians on the Kings of Comedy because Steve was really the MC. He was the least funny to me, even as a kid. And so, I think.
Yeah, he always attacked people. Like his big thing was making fun of people in the audience, man. And that to me, that's kind of like, that's weird to me. But he definitely was funnier than Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey is terrible.
Terrible. Quote, Janet Jackson's interview sounded like a Trump rally. FYI, it's a little ironic to question whether someone is black while you're breathing through the nose of a white woman, end quote. Hughley shared on Sunday in a post on X. Janet Jackson interview sounded like a Trump rally. Oh, so it's posted again. Hughley's condemnation comes after Jackson speculated about the Democratic presidential nominee's race in an interview with The Guardian. She, quote, "She's not black. That's what I heard, that she's Indian," end quote. Jackson said in the interview, quote, "Her father is white. That's what I was told. I mean, I haven't watched the news in a few days. I was told that they discovered her father was white," end quote. Jackson then seemed to issue an apology that was later revealed to be issued without her authorization. The rep who issued the apology later told the Daily Beast he was fired over the incident, which he should have been, because you don't apologize to me. Let's see. Oh, it says Whoopi Goldberg defends Janet. It's probably some crazy. Reaction to Hughley's unfiltered post varied. Some agreed in calling out Jackson's comments, while others shamed the Hughley's actor for stooping so low. After going after her nose, Hughley fired off 2 more messages aimed at the Grammy winner. Kamala Harris looks the way she does because she has a mom from India and a dad from Jamaica. Janet Jackson looks the way she does because she has a plastic surgeon, he wrote Sunday. Kamala Harris looks the way she does. Why is it posting this stuff twice? All I know is Kamala Harris looks like she did when she was in Oakland, but Janet don't look like she did when she was Penny. What the hell was in that iron? He added, seemingly referring to Jackson's recurring role as Penny Gordon Woods on the 70s sitcom Good Times. So, and then it's saying that he doubles down or something, but Tariq did a breakdown of Tariq Nasheed did a breakdown of Tariq Nasheed did a breakdown of this, and he was showing how Kamala was trying to go after Michael Jackson for the like the whole pedophilia thing back in the day. And so he was saying that might be one of the reasons why Janet is holding a grudge against Kamala Harris. And then even showed some clips where it was like Trump was saying, you know, Michael has never been a pedophile. He was around his kids all the time. He was a really nice guy. He was really friendly. He really just, you know, liked children, but he never was a pedophile. He had a really good relationship with him and his family. And so it's just interesting how this all played out.
Yeah, I believe Randy is a they said Randy Jackson, which is her manager right now, is a Trump supporter. That's what I heard.
I mean, you know, it could be something simple like that she, you know, because we've talked about it on the show, but Kamala Harris has prosecuted innocent people. She has she had a man on death row. His name was Kevin. I forget his last name. I have to look it up. But he was on death row and he was requesting enhanced DNA testing. And she wouldn't authorize it because she said he put in the request too late past the deadline. And eventually it was some outcry and she allowed it. And then he was exonerated. Right. So this is a man who was on death row. He would have been murdered like the other 2 gentlemen we talked about, Troy Davis and Marcellus Williams, in California under her watch. And this is the person that you want to act like is the Black Queen who's going to save us from something that, I mean, is the administration that she's still in, you know, just on the base level, an administration that she still works in. So, you know, I thought it was a video of D.L. Hughley talking about this, but I couldn't see one. I thought he actually said this. But even the interview with Janet, right? It wasn't even, yeah, here's a TMZ thing. It wasn't even a political interview. It was like in The Guardian, and The Guardian was just asking her questions about her life and her music and stuff. And then they were asking her about Kamala Harris. And I think, you know, The Guardian is UK, and sometimes I don't know if the person was white or black who was giving the interview, but some people just tend to think that all black.
She was South Asian.
Okay. So I think sometimes black people, some people just think black people all just get along. We all have the same mentality. So she was just expecting it to be some kind of puff piece because Hollywood and all these different people have just lavished praise upon Kamala Harris. So of course Janet was going to do that too, and it backfired on her because, you know, people still support Janet Jackson. The people on the, I still would be really surprised if Kamala Harris wins this election without some kind of funny business going on. I don't know how you feel about that, but I just I don't feel the support for her that I feel like would get her the support that she would need to win. And I think when you factor in that there are people who are going to vote for Donald Trump who don't feel comfortable to say publicly that they're going to vote for Donald Trump, I think, you know, you're looking at him winning by a large margin come November. I really do believe so.
Yeah, man. I've gave my analysis on our after the debate show. She needs Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. Like if she loses any one of those three, especially two, but any one of those three, and you know the Electoral College doesn't bode well for her. I mean, Obama won with like 95%, 92 to 95% of the black vote. Biden won with 87% of the black vote. Right now, I think, you know, the latest thing I saw, she had somewhere around 67% of the black vote. Also, when you factor in the fact that here in Michigan, I can only really speak to Michigan, that the Arab population is overwhelmingly going to vote, you know, either for Jill Stein or Trump more than they're going to vote for her. Like, I think she's only getting like maybe 15% of the Arab vote. I mean, that's you know, and being that, you know, Clinton lost by 10,000 votes to Trump, you know, back in 2016, that spells disaster. You know, ultimately it spells disaster. The fact that you having such this high, you know, this hyperbolic, highly emotional debate amongst even black people themselves, right? Shows that, you know, is going to point to the fact that she's going to lose the election this time around. I mean, you know, they got 15-20 some million immigrants here, but they as of right now they can't vote. So, you know, and then the funny thing is that most of the time that those immigrants they end up voting Republican in large amounts. Stead, you still there? Stead. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you didn't freeze out.
Oh no. I was listening to you, and I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I agree because Butch Ware actually breaks this down. That he's got some polling data from the Democrats that shows just how much of the Middle Eastern and Muslim vote they're losing relative to past candidates. And you know, Hillary lost, and she commanded more of the black vote than Kamala Harris has right now, and more of the Middle Eastern vote than Kamala Harris has right now. And so they're trying really to scramble to shore up some type of support from somewhere, and it isn't happening. That's one of the reasons why they were saying Trump isn't interested in giving her another debate, and she's trying to get another debate badly because she's trying to give herself the opportunity to speak to the American people.
Yeah.
Because post-debate, like I was talking about in our debate show, Trump is not phased at all from the debate in a negative way.
Yeah.
And she isn't benefited at all from the debate.
Right.
So, you know, I think, like I said, you know, you have a lot of people who are going to vote for Trump who are not going to publicly admit that they're going to vote for Trump. And I think that's going to be the difference. You know, like they said in 2020 and 2016, the silent majority is with Trump. I think that was less true in the previous two election campaigns than it would be true today. Although that isn't a slogan that he's using right now, I think that is a very true statement, whether or not, you know, it is accurate representation of the events, because, you know, there's still a limit to what Trump is going to be willing to or capable of doing, whether it pertains to the economy or global affairs, or any of that stuff. But I think there's enough belief that Trump simply being president again would make the economy better and run smoother and things like that. So I just think, you know, like George, what was the name? Not George. It's Carville. James Carville said it's economic stupid.
Yeah.
So That's what it boils down to. How can Kamala Harris separate herself from an administration that she's currently serving in matters of the economy, immigration, you know what I'm saying? Foreign policy, there's no way. There's literally no way. They're trying to, but there's no way.
Right. I wanted to, since you have brought up some of her past, I wanted to play a quick video. Then we could get into, because we're over an hour and a half, you know. So let's get we'll get into the breakdown of what her genealogy after this. Let me go ahead and.
Kamala Harris. Presumptive Democratic nominee Joe Biden has picked California Senator Kamala Harris as his running mate.
The first woman of color in history to be chosen for such a position.
Biden chose Harris, even though, as a candidate, she attacked him for being a lead architect of the modern criminal justice system.
She was the one that took it to him.
The senator criticized the former vice president's record on race.
I'm proud of the work we did reforming a criminal justice system and cleaning up the consequences of the bills that you passed when you were in the United States Senate for decades.
The irony of Biden's decision to select Harris, particularly in the wake of widespread protests against police misconduct and racial injustice, is that she has her own troubling record on criminal justice issues, which also came up on the debate stage.
She had a police department when she was there that, in fact, was abusing people's rights.
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you were in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that.
I want Joe Biden to win. It is about everything about criminal justice reform and what we're trying to do in terms of reforming policing.
Like Biden, Harris deserves credit for endorsing vital reforms, even at this stage in her career. But it's worth setting the record straight about her priorities over the course of her 16 years in public life, before criminal justice reform became front and center for the Democratic Party.
I am proud of that work, of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform.
Harris's record is that of a 1980s-style drug warrior, a defender of dirty prosecutors, and a political opportunist who has made life more dangerous for sex workers. Harris's political rise has been propelled by a years-long, high-profile...
I think that's enough, but it just, you know, this video goes further on. It's about 4 years old. It's about seven.
Yeah, I got that saved on my phone, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, do you? Yeah, man. So...
Yeah.
You know, it goes in more detail, but it, you know what I mean? And this is 4 years ago. And that's the thing, like, this chick is an empty suit. She'll, you know, whatever the political winds are going, she'll go in that particular favor. You know, she's for fracking, not for fracking. She can call Jim Crow Joe. She labeled him. She turned the coin, Jim Crow Joe. Yet and still, she partnered with him to be in his administration. Because
even like Joe Biden said, her police department abused inmates or whatever. And then you pick her for your VP, like that just goes to show you they're both corrupt individuals. Anybody who's shedding tears for Joe Biden, and it's not because he didn't lose the presidency, but because you are happy that he's the president, then you know you're a lost cause. You're a lost cause. This man, like you said, like you have said repeatedly, is the architect of the modern criminal justice system that we have in this country. And she is a tool of that modern criminal justice system that we have. And so, you know, they hand in glove, really, for them to be working together. But they're both empty vessels. You know, Joe Biden just says whatever he needs to say to win. And he, at 60 years in politics, he knows what it takes. So it seems like he has integrity of his own, but he really does not. But I'll pull up your next screen share.
Okay.
Or would you want me to wait? Okay.
No, we're doing good. I just wanted to make it bigger. So, okay. So all of this is because, again, you know, Janet Jackson was heavily criticized by the Democratic shields for her statements that she made to a Guardian reporter, and it was all because, you know, she claimed, you know, she said that that her father was white. All right, so again, Candace Owens, she went ahead and did some research to say, because there was something to it. It wasn't like she was just coming, Janet was coming from complete left field, right? So we're going to start off with this in a digging. So I just took snapshots of posts that I made on my own Facebook, but most of these pictures and this information is coming from Candace Owens. So, in fair use, you please refer to her full video. She actually has, I want to say it's like 3 to 4 videos consecutively, episodes, I want to say 71, 72, 73, 74, where you can get the whole full, breakdown from her. So this is going to be like the Cliff Note versions, okay? So anyway, so what we're viewing right now is this is a picture of Kamala Harris, in her college years. I want to say is in the 90s. She's and this comes out of her book that she did, because again, she was just trying to be a clone of Barack Obama, right? She created a book in the year that she was announced her run for the presidency. Something about truth or something to that effect. Don't quote me on that. She's stating that this lady, right, she says, visiting my paternal grandmother Burl in Jamaica, right? So she's saying that this lady is her grandmother. So let me see here. I'm gonna go ahead and come on now. All right. Of course now. Okay, here we go. So when the investigation came up, you don't need to see that. Let me see here. Well, when they did the investigation, comes to find out that so before we go into this, let me let's get the family tree. So this is the family tree of Kamala Harris's paternal side. So there's obviously Kamala Harris. Donald J. Harris is her father. Oscar Wilde Joseph Harris is her grandfather. Burl Christie Finnegan here to the right is her grandmother. Then her mother was Miss Christie. I'm sorry, grandfather. Her father was Patrick Finnegan, Mr. Christie, and then we have the grandmother, her great grandmother, obviously her father's maternal grandmother, Miss Iris Finnegan. Okay, that's going to be of importance later. So what was discovered was that Miss Burl, this lady right here, had died. You see her name, Burl. I'm assuming that must be Finnegan down here. Female. She died in 1960. This is saying that she died from having fibroids and complications with a hysterectomy. Okay, in 1960, she was born. Kamala Harris was born in 1964. So that brings into question. Damn, I went too far back. That brings into question that this lady is her actual grandmother. There's no way that Burl Christie died in 1960 that this could be her grandmother, her paternal grandmother. Impossible. So we don't know who this lady is, and even how she's standing next to her, like it doesn't, like, usually it doesn't really show like there's any type of familiar bond or something, but nonetheless, this can't be Burl. This can't be Burl Christie, right? So then they did some digging about Burl Christie. So when they did some digging, they tried to find out, okay, well, when did she get married to Oscar Harris? Because mind you, Oscar Harris and Burl are the parents of Donald J. Harris. Well, they end up finding out that they could not find any marriage certificates between Harris, Oscar, and Burl. No marriage, but they were able to find a marriage certificate in 1944, where she married. If I can make it a little bit big, man, I say it gets too big, not 300%. So this is Burl Finnegan, because that's who her paternal grandmother is, right? And this is the right Burrow. She was married to a Lawford, Thomas Lawford, I believe. Father's name. She was no, I'm sorry, this guy Newland Lawford. I'm sorry, Newland Lawford. So Donald J. Harris was born in 1937. So he would have been 6 or 7 years old when this occurred. So that goes to explain, well, if this Burrow person, Burrow Christie, is his mother, why is she not married to? There's no marriage certificate going to be found of her being married to his father prior to his birth date, right? But prior to 1937. Now the only marriage certificate that we have is that to a completely different man. Completely different man. Newland Lawford, Newland Lawford, I believe. Newland Lawford. Okay, so that was a question, as well as we come to find out later that so not only did Burrow, this lady in question, Burrow Christie Madeline Finnegan, right? We have a death certificate of her of 1960, a marriage certificate of 1944, about 7 years after, 6 to 7 years after that Donald J. Harris was born, right? To a completely different man that's not Oscar Wilde. They did some more digging. Oh, also, here's a death certificate of a Donald Harris. So here's another crazy. In 1940, so 1940, 2 years after Donald J. Harris was born, this Donald Harris male infant, 1 year old, is passes away from fever and cold, and the only person present at death was, damn, where is it recorded? It was saying here, date of birth, death, fever. Oh, Burrow Harris. So, it records the father somewhere, Albert Harris. So this is another crazy thing. So Albert Harris, he's the son of, so Donald Harris passed away in 1940 of the same name as Donald J. So what's the odds that this Donald Harris, this obviously wasn't Donald J. Harris, but another Donald, who names their kids Donald, two sons Donald. So one was born, so this Donald Harris had to have been born in 1939. Our Donald Harris, or Donald Harris's, Kamala's father, Donald J. Harris, was born in 1937. I want to say it's 37, or is he 38? But I want to say it's 37. So he was born in, but no one could find his birth certificate, but it's believed he was born in 1937. And you can just fact check me on that real quick if you have the time, Stedman. So we have another Donald Harris, son of Albert Harris, which again, that's weird. Albert Harris, because his father's Donald J. Harris, his father's name is Oscar. Fever and cold. The person that was present at death is Burrow Harris, right? So unless this is like his uncle, Albert Harris, his uncle, and maybe this is his cousin, like what can explain this? So this was just kind of like a odd thing that you would have somebody. Burrow was present at the son of Albert Harris, right? The Donald Harris, the son of Albert Harris. We would think that Pearl would be the mother, but why was she present at the death? Like, why would they record her present at the death of this particular child that also has the exact first and last name as her own child, allegedly, right? Because Donald Harris in 1940 would be either to him, going on to himself, 2 or 3, depending on the date of this, right? So that was odd. So yeah, this is Oscar. This is Oscar. There's another picture of Oscar right here. or what have you. So then when they started, again, there's no marriage certificates between Oscar and Burl, but there is a marriage. So also another thing to note, you know what I'm saying? When her father is a Donald Harris, right? I want to say it says 1937, right? I think that says his birthday right here. I could be there. Is the son of Oscar J. Harris of Spanish Town. So that and Burl Finnegan. So we know that's the name of his mother, right? That's what's listed, Burl Finnegan. Okay. This was in a paper when it was not, they announced their marriage in a Jamaican newspaper, right? And what they denoted was that that her mother is actually, her father was assistant secretary or something of India, you know what I mean? And then him, his background goes to wealthy Irish slave holders, right? Like if you trace his paternal line all the way back, it's to a white man. That a white Irish guy who owned a bunch of slaves. But anyway, so that was just something to note. We went about this is the death certificate of the other Donald Harris. Then go ahead. You want to go back?
I didn't see that death certificate. That was interesting because what are the odds? How common is the name Burl?
Mm-hmm.
And in that St. Anne's Parish where they was born.
Right, where they up. Anne's Parish.
And then Donald Harris.
Yeah, that's the parish that he lived in, because
because see, I got that genealogy website that I had pulled up, and her dad was born supposedly. Donald Harris was born in. Let me see if it tells you the exact date.
So this is where her name is again, Beryl Harris, right? So this is really weird, man. So this is not Oscar. So son of Albert Harris, a planter, right? Fever and cold. Beryl Harris present at the death. St. Anne, November 1940, right? Here's her name again, signed by the said Beryl Harris. There's somebody, J.D. Hepburn, I guess that says. But none of that. This is weird, bro. That there is another Donald Harris, 1940. You know what I mean? Depending on when he was born, that he would have been either going on 2 or 3 years old. Why would you have two sons? I mean, it doesn't say this is the mother, right? It only records the father, which is here, Albert Harris. It's just a weird, outlier that's there, right? Some funny business, man. And but let me go ahead and get to what they were able to find again. Also, here it is, 1940. So 4 years later, we got the same Beryl Finnegan married to I guess I'm assuming this is name. I'll say Lawford Newland. Okay, so name. So I was reading it backwards. Lawford Newland. So a completely different guy, right? 1944. He would have been either 6 or 7 at that time. Just really weird, man. Here it is. Yeah, Lawford Newland, Beryl Finnegan. So now this is back to her maiden name, because her maiden name is Finnegan, right? Just again, really weird. And these are Irish last names, by the way. I mean, it's conceivable that you can have black people named Irish names, but so that's the keep showing us stuff. Let me see here. Do I have it up? Okay. So what you do find, Oscar Harris was various Cambridge, right? So this happened. I don't know if they got the year. Was it the year? Let me go back. Does they have the year that he got married? But what they do have is that this is a clip. Mr. and Mrs. Oscar Harris, Glorious Cambridge, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. V.S. Cambridge of St. Elizabeth, became the bride of Oscar Harris of Brownstown, St. Anne, at the beautiful ceremony in St. Andrew Parish Church, halfway tree on Thursday. Her slenderness enhanced by a ground. Well, anyway, it goes into all of this, right? Who her parents are, this and that, or whatever. So here we have him marrying a completely different lady, right? And I don't for whatever reason, there's no time. There's no time date of this article of when this occurred. Was it post the 19? Well, she died in 1960. So, Burl Harris died in 1960. So yeah, it doesn't matter. Well, here we got it. We're hurt now. Let's go back to it again so we can keep everybody up to. Yeah, that's definitely about that. Let's go back to the family tree. Okay, so we have on record Oscar Harris. So we got Wild Joseph, but anyways, Oscar Harris marrying a different lady, a lady whose name last ended in Cambridge, right? And then we got Burl Christie, right? And I can't say the year that I don't have the year that he married Miss Cambridge, right? Then we also have Burl Christie on record marrying a totally different guy. We don't have anything on record showing that these two were married at all. We have a death certificate of not a Donald J. Harris, but a Donald Harris in 1940. We have a death certificate of a Beryl Finnegan in 1960, right? So this can't be the same lady. This picture is of 1991 or 92. That can't. She was dead for 50 some years, right? You know what I mean? She would have been dead for like 51 years if in 1991 if she died. Well, I'm sorry, not 50 years. She would have been dead by about 30 some years if she died in 1960, right? So this can't be the lady. It can't be her. Notice, and this is supposed to be Iris. Is supposed to be her great grandmother, the mother of Burl Christie, right? So what they did find, again, we found that Oscar was married to this lady that who had a maiden name of Cambridge, and so this is the lady that he was married to, right? Her obituary, and this is like a picture of her, because I guess she came to the United States. She married somebody named McPherson, and I mean, just look at the similarities, bro. Look, I mean,
and just for context, this lady is not supposed to be related to her in any way.
She's not supposed to be, but look at it. Who more looks like this could be her? Is, mind you, she looks like her father, right? That's who she really. She doesn't really. She has the facial features of her father for sure. Who do you think is more likely to be her real grandmother? Her? Oh, that's a bad picture. I can't get this lady or this lady who was married to her grandfather. We have the proof that this lady was married to her grandfather. We don't have the proof that Burl was ever married to her grandfather. We don't have the proof. This lady's is allegedly Burl, but how could it be when Burl died in 1960? We have the proof. Oscar Harris married V.S. Cambridge. I didn't take a screenshot. I want to get to, I can actually show, because some may be saying, and I missed a critical portion. Okay. This is going to be, I want to say, where is it? Okay. All right, right here.
Fair use, fair use. Here, I'll put us in there, so we ain't got to worry about it. Can't hear it. I can't hear it.
You can't hear it?
Nope.
Oh, you know what? Let me stop. Hold on. Let me stop sharing because I was sharing the screen. Present, share. Where is it that she talks about? When was this just released? Oh, this is a new episode. Wait up, this is a whole new episode.
You have to watch that one then. But look, I was gonna say this. Let me show that genealogy website right quick.
Yeah.
I just want to pull it up. So I looked at this up in the summer. And this was a family tree, a Kamala Harris family tree, because I was trying to find information on her dad just for my own. It was just because they don't talk about him. They never talk about him. It's almost like they don't have a good relationship, and the relationship is so bad they don't bring him up ever. So this is the family tree that I was able to find. Let me see. Let's see if I can zoom out more.
Now we can't really see it.
Yeah.
But
so
all right, that's good. That's the best way. I can see a little bit. Yep, that's good enough.
So now her father is Donald. So you've got Beryl, you've got Oscar. If I zoom in, you can see their faces for some of the pictures. So you've got Oscar here. That's what they claim is her grandfather. And then Beryl, they don't have a picture of. Her father's picture is not up here.
Right.
That lady Iris, who they claim is the grandmother, and then her dad's grandmother. They talked about this lady, Christy Brown. They said she was born in 1888. Private picture, no type family picture. And the person uploaded it is Mary Cummins. So, I mean, you can't make a lot out of the image. There's not much you can get from the image. Died in 1951. And they've got her parents, Hamilton Brown, who's the person that the town was named after, the slave owner who Brown's town was named after. So it might be Hamilton Esquire Brown up here from 1775 to 1843. And they don't have his wife listed. And then they had a child, Mary Mulvina Brown is their child. And then there's Hamilton Brown over here. So I don't know if they married siblings or he kept her name. I don't know how that, because they don't have the locking, which would signify parentage, but they have it here. So I don't know. And they've got Oscar Joseph Harris, so would be Kamala Harris's father's grandfather, 1874 to 1939. And then Oscar Joseph, they've got his information with marriage to Burl Finnegan, and then they've got a marriage to Pearline Curry over here. Now, the second woman that we think we found out that he married, her name was Vioris, is not Pearline Curry. So we don't know who that is or any of that information. This is from this website. So then you get Donald J here, and you can see that he was married to Shimala Gopalan and had Maya and Kamala. And then, they have theirs. But what I thought was interesting, the family tree owner, I'll zoom in. I should be able to zoom in here, but maybe I can't. Let's see.
Right.
Let's see. No, I can't. Where's mine? I want to zoom in here. This lady's name is Mary Cummins. She's from LA. And well, here's a picture of her here. And so they say she's the owner of the family tree. So either it's her family or she's just a person with a lot of free time on her hands.
Right.
Is managing random
people's family trees.
Right. And who has access to these pictures that otherwise nobody else has. So, I mean, we could put up a picture. I don't know if we could do a side by side of her and Kamala Harris or her and Kamala Harris's father to see if we see any similarities or whatever. But is this woman a black woman? Is she, mixed? Does she, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm just asking because we're talking about this. And the only reason why this is important is because this woman has made it, or her campaign or her surrogates have made it a priority to make the most important aspect of her campaign her race. We have to support her because she's a black person. So now it's up to us to figure out if she is actually a black person, because the only time she ever says that she is a black person or insinuates that she is a black person is when she is in a room full of black people, right? When she's in a room full of white people, or she's around Indians or Asians, whatever you want to call it, South Asians.
She never
says that she's black. She never says anything. And so
she defers the question.
This woman here, this is just peculiar to me, that this lady is in charge of Kamala Harris's family tree.
I find it funny as well. I got to the point of the clip I wanted to show, man.
Okay.
All right. I believe the audio.
Vioris Cambridge, born to Vivian Cambridge and Adina Wright on October 7th, 1927, in St. Elizabeth, Jamaica. What the hell is going on? Who is this woman? Why hasn't this been mentioned? Why does it feel like this profile was being very hidden? And again, as Donald was jumping in to his family background and speaking about how Jamaican it was, why didn't he mention this? Why didn't he mention this woman, his white relatives? It might be relevant when we're having a discussion about Kamala's race to mention the fact that your dad married a white woman. I'm just saying, here's another picture of her. And there's something familiar about her smile. There's something familiar. I'm looking at this woman, I'm going, this woman looks to me like Kamala Harris. Now, something even weirder, the person who did create something for her online, okay, who created a profile for her on Ancestry.com, look what he put in the middle of her name. He lists her name as Vioris Anita Iris Cambridge. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. So we looked into this briefly. And again, all of this has transpired within the last 4 hours. So we are not as organized about this, or I shouldn't say, we are not as certain about this, but it looks like the person who made this entry was a member of her extended family. It looks like she got remarried in 1994 in America and that's where she picks up the name McPherson. And that individual put Iris in quotation marks. Is it possible that Donald J. Harris, when he's fondly remembering Miss Iris, could be speaking about this woman? Yeah, it's possible. Everything's a possibility. Like I said, he's very scant on the detail.
So yeah, I wanted to talk. Yeah, that's what I wanted to cover, man. In regards to that, so it's not completely out of left field. That Kamala Harris is not who she says she is, and it is of importance because, like you stated earlier, they're making the whole campaign, or a good portion of it, about her identity, about her being the first black / South Asian, whatever, and her possibility of being the first, black / South Asian, president if elected. She's making it about her identity. So it's fair game to talk about it, especially if, we got all this information that can maybe point to the other direction or whatever.
Right. And that's really the thing. I mean, our criticisms of her, our critiques of her, of the Democratic Party, are not along racial lines. But it is important to be able to justify the claims you're making, right? And her background is sketchy, and that's the problem. We have seen Rachel Dolezal. What's that lady? She was from like Minnesota, and she was Jessica LaBombolero, but she was pretending to be like a Puerto Rican or Dominican or something, activist, but she was from Minnesota. She had got some kind of scholarship. There was another lady who was pretending to be some kind of mixed like black and Hispanic.
What's her the one that she did the cooking show with, the actress, right? Her brother wrote a book about.
Yeah.
South Asian male pretending to be black.
Mindy Kaling.
Yeah, Mindy Kaling.
Mindy
Yeah,
Kaling's
her
brother. Yeah, he pretended
wrote
to
a
be
book
black.
about how he pretended to be black so he could get into medical school.
Right.
So
And
there's
so-
some history behind Indians, South Asians, pretending to be black in order to gain some sort of social benefit.
Right. And so it's just important that we understand. It's important that we understand that you can't pick and choose to be black when it benefits you and when it can't be. And so if you're black all the time. And that's the thing, we talked about it, where they say, oh, the one drop rule, the one drop rule. Well, the one drop rule says you're black. The one drop rule don't say you're multiracial or multi-ethnic. The one drop rule says no matter how much of anything else you got in you, you black. Because you got one drop of black blood. That's what the one drop rule is. And so, to be the Senator Freedman is to live by that, for good or for bad, as a consequence of our time in this country, right? That's what that means to us. It's not necessarily something that we wear like a badge of honor. It's just the reality of our existence in this country, that you're black, you're a black person. So when you see even like, multi quote unquote racial or biracial people saying, oh yeah, like we're all mixed. All of us are mixed. As I said before, we did a show about it. All of us are mixed, but we're black because the one drop rule in this country said that we're black. It didn't say that you're mixed. It didn't have a special carve out for mixed. It had it. You was black or white. You was a Negro or you was not. And so this is a new convention, essentially, where you could have this multicultural, multi-ethnic identity. And so for her to have this is fine. That's perfectly fine. Be that. Be an Indian. Be an Indian and a Jamaican. But don't try to be us and claim to be us and claim to represent us and share our culture. Just like, when she said, oh, one time they asked me to make greens once. I can make a mean pot of greens. Who says that? But whatever. One time I had to make so many greens, I had to clean them in my bathtub. Why would they ask you to make greens? Your culture don't make greens? Which part of the Jamaicans make callaloo?
Right.
Jamaicans make callaloo.
Would. And this is
Indians
a person
make, I believe it's called palak.
Right.
Which is like spinach.
And this is a person that grew up in Canada.
Right.
She spent all of her formative years in Canada. Where would she be making greens? Who taught you how to make greens?
Right.
And so to me, again, going to what you're saying, and just to correct you, Stedman, there, because I have this in my family, there was a category of mulattoes. That was a racial category that, and I actually saw census records where some of my people on my mother's side were listed as mulatto and by the U.S. government, and my grandmother, which is my mother's mother, she never considered herself black at all. She considered herself mulattoes. She considered herself not black, and that's a history, in Louisiana and Mississippi, right?
Oh, okay.
What I'm saying, the whole communities, yeah, they thought themselves a completely compartmented and separate from blacks, similar to the color situation in South Africa, right? So we did have that, but they thought of themselves as a completely separate people. You know what I mean? But anyway, just to add that caveat into that. But this lady completely was raised in Canada, went to her form, all the way, even she didn't go to Howard in her freshman year. She went later on to so primary school primarily for the most part, freaking or secondary, high school, middle school, high school, and 1 year of college was in Canada. Like, what are you talking about? And then you try to pretend to be us all while serving us harm. Now it'd be different if you didn't serve us harm and you was, an ally and you was giving us, you fought for us and trying to, like Stokely Carmichael, right? You know what I mean? People like him, you know what I'm saying, who are of Caribbean descent, you know what I mean? But they came here to fight for us. I mean, he gave us a term, Black Power, right? for those, hey, that's great. You know what I mean? But freaking for you to have done all the harm that you did, all while trying to be us at the same time, that's the part that's just, to me, is the most damaging. And that's why I am very vocal about calling it out or what have you, because our people are being blinded, and thinking that this person is really us, and she's not us, and she's doing harm. So that's why when I get asked, well, why aren't you just going at the same level at Trump as you going at Harris? I'm like, I don't need to. I mean, Malcolm X told us, man, the Republicans are the wolves, the Democrats are the foxes. You know what I'm saying? We know, you know what I'm saying? The wolves, we all know when a wolf is a wolf. You get away, you stay away. The fox is trying to be cunning to bite you at the end. So you got to call out the fox first and be most vocal about it, because he's trying to be, trying to disguise as that he's kind and friendly and harmless, and that bad boy is trying to bite you. You know what I mean? I really, like, a fox can't kill you, but but you could suffer from rabies from the bite. You know what I mean? We're gonna take the analogy, to its end. So yeah, man, that's all I had to, we're already over the 2-hour mark. But I thought it was a great discussion, and I appreciate you, Stead, for jumping on the panel, executing this, man, because I'm just really disappointed, bro, when really with our people, man, and how much we have to combat, this, bro, is just, it's so plain to see. But go ahead, man. You're gonna show you got the Wikipedia up.
Yeah, so since you said all that, I wanted to bring this up. So it said that she was born in 1964 is what it says, October 20th, I believe is the date that it said. Yeah, 1964. So she's not 60 yet. And it says they lived in California until 1966. So around her second birthday, they lived in Berkeley. And then they moved to different college towns throughout the Midwest. They lived in Urbana, Illinois for University of Illinois, Urbana, Champaign, Evanston, so Northwestern, Madison, University of Wisconsin, Madison. And they said by 70, the marriage had faltered, and the mother had moved back to California with her 2 daughters. So by 70, so she would have been 6. In 72, the father had accepted a position at Stanford, and they lived at Berkeley with their mother. And then it says in 76, the mother befriended African-American intellectuals and activists in Oakland and Berkeley. In 76, she moved to Montreal. So 76, and she was born in 64. She was 12 when she left the United States, but looks like she left Oakland by the age of 2 and didn't come back. If she was in 66, she came back at the age of 6. And then from the age of 6, she left at 12. So, and then like you said, she spent a year in school in Montreal at Vanier College from 81 to 82 or so, maybe even 2 years, and then graduated from Howard in 86. And so again, we don't know what her incentive was to go to Howard or to become an AKA, because I think what happens to us a lot of times, just normal people in general, but especially Black people, because we don't have a lot of access to some of these really elite ideas and things. People plan out all this stuff. She could have been interested in getting into politics and realized, oh, I'm Canadian, I could never be president. I mean, I'm American, I was born in America, I could never be the prime minister of Canada because I'm not a Canadian. So let me go to America and try to ingratiate myself into the American way of life in order to increase my chances and just really play this game to a T, because most of us aren't as conniving and cunning as a lot of these people are. Even Obama, they say he tried to propose to a white woman a couple times, and he had a white girlfriend, and he eventually said something like, if he wants to ever get anywhere in politics, he has to have a Black wife. The average person doesn't understand the sociopathic or psychopathic mentality that a lot of politicians have to really structure their lives. You know what I'm saying? To try to plan out where they go to school.
Plan out major decisions and everything in their life. You know what I'm saying?
At a very young age.
Very young age, yeah. They know what the game plan is. And you know the crazy part about this, man, is that I was thinking about this on several different times, is that it's through us that she even has this ability to do this. Because you have to, in order to be a president, you have to be a natural born citizen. And that only came about in the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments after slavery. That was meant. The reason why somebody could be born here, have two foreign parents and not citizens, because her mother was never a citizen in the United States. Her father never was a citizen in the United States, right? She was born here. Just by the fact that she was born here in the United States makes her a U.S. citizen. That comes from the freedmen. Why? Why did that come from the freedmen? Because when blacks were being emancipated, all throughout slavery, right? They were emancipated, but they weren't citizens. So to deal with that, that's why, it states in the Constitution, is either, I don't know if it's in the 15th or the 13th, it might even be in the 14th. But ultimately, you know what I mean? Because they were saying, because certain states will have grandfather clauses. So like, even if you were born free, because there was free-born blacks, here in the United States, but they would say, hey, if your grandfather or grandmother, grandparent was a slave, then you can't be a citizen. So the whole idea of natural born citizenship all came through our plight. So imagine this, that this chick has the ability to be a United States citizen through something that was meant for the freedmen and all the harm she's done to the freedmen. Bro, it's deep, man. It's really deep when you think about it, bro. It's really, really deep. And that's why I'm so gun-ho at coming up at her for her inconsistencies, lies, and so on and so forth.
Well, and especially, like you said, these laws were specifically created to benefit us, but whenever they do something to benefit us, they always have to throw something in there to make it ineffective for us to really get the equality that is intended to or claimed to be intended for. But then she goes out and says she's not doing anything to just benefit black people. You know what I'm saying? It's a slap in the face.
It's a slap in the face.
It's entirely a slap in the face. So, but
the fact that your people were able to even immigrate here, because what was that post 60? I guess they were here a little bit before 65 immigration bill.
Well, her parents were because it said they came in the 60s. It says they met in 62 and married in 63. But that's still
around that civil rights time, right? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
because you couldn't even be
citizens. But if her mother is an Indian, she said she was Caucasian. Her father was some type of diplomat or whatever. And then Kamala's grandfather, but her mother's father was some type of Indian diplomat.
Right.
And then Kamala's father worked for the Jamaican government. In the 60s, I can't see there having been many black Jamaicans in positions of authority in the Jamaican government or working in the Jamaican government in any capacity. You know what I'm saying?
Even by the 70s, right? Because if you look, you know what I'm saying, what tripped me out was they did the thing on One Love, right? With about covering Bob Marley, right? Even in the 70s, right? The two people that are running for prime minister, right, against each other, that called, you know what I'm saying, and why, the assassination attempt was done against Bob Marley. I think we talked about it a few times on our show. They were white men even by then. They were white. You know what I'm saying? That was by the 70s, man. So the fact that, like this whole, because I was hearing people say this whole middle class. I grew up in middle class. Like, no, you didn't. Your mother was from the upper class. She was able to get into a PhD program, paid for herself. Why? Because her father was a wealthy, diplomat. You know what I'm saying?
And she was like 16 or 17 or something.
Right.
Like her mother was young, or 19. Like she was young, exactly. Her mother.
Yeah, because her mother was wealthy. She comes from the highest part of the caste. Your father is descended literally. His Y chromosome goes to a white man. His Y chromosome, because your Y chromosome gets handed down to you straight from your male progenitor, unchanged. So his Y chromosome is of a Caucasian, white Irish slave master who owned over 1,200 slaves. That's like George Washington status.
That's George Washington. I feel like people don't understand how many people that is. I feel like people don't understand how to contextualize that you got 1,200 people that's working for you.
Slaves were costing, like, at that time, $18,000, $19,000, $2,000, and that, you know what I'm saying? Even at that time, and imagine, I mean, most people don't got $2,000 right now if their car broke down. You know what I'm saying? Imagine having 2,000 at a clip. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I mean? So even, and obviously, 2,000, their money is like millions today, hundreds of thousands, if not millions today, if we were going to adjust for inflation. And then he had, 1,200 of them. So imagine if, anywhere slave could be anywhere between $600 to $1,200 times freaking 1,200. You know what I'm saying? Like that's super wealthy, bro. Super wealthy. And for him to be Irishman too, that's even wilder, especially during that time what was going on in Ireland and how the Irish was so subjugated. You know what I'm saying? So I'm wondering, what was the deal with that? You know what I mean? You had the Scots Irish. Maybe Scots Irish.
Maybe she come from a lineage of sellouts.
Yeah, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Maybe. You know what I mean? That's even wild that an Irishman would have that type of money. He must have been a Scots Irish. I can't believe that he could have been just a straight, Irishman. You know what I'm saying? From Ireland. Like, nah, it couldn't be. But anyway, we've I think we've kind of exhausted this this subject. I think we thoroughly went through it, even as long and tenuous as we have. I thank you, brother, for coming on, because I really just had to get this off my chest, especially what I was seeing in real time with the opposition I was getting. I definitely had some people co-signing, some of my comments or pictures or posts of what Candace had put out there, man. It's definitely is dubious. It's something there. You know what I'm saying? It's obviously something there, bro. You know what I mean? And we may never know. You know what I'm saying? Because I doubt she's gonna ever do a genealogy ancestry test. I mean, her father's alive. He could speak to this, straight up.
They don't never talk to him ever. They never interview him.
You'll never hear about anything. Nothing.
They went to Africa and interviewed Obama's people in his village.
Yeah.
They ain't going to Jamaica to talk to none of her people, bro.
And he's alive. Yeah, exactly. Where's all the extended relatives and all of that? You don't see nobody.
They would still be here.
Yeah, because you know what? The odds are they're not gonna look like what you think they're gonna look like.
Right.
that's probably what it's gonna be. They might be wearing some saris as well. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's probably what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you be like, what? Hold on. I mean, but again, I just find it crazy that the only marriage certificate we have is him being married to a white lady. You know what I mean? It's name Iris, that supposedly is the great grandmother. You know what I mean? That the lady who's named Burl Finnegan, we have a death certificate of 1960. Now that you know what I'm saying? Like that's just wild, dude. There was a whole nother Donald Harris born in, that was born somewhere, 1939, that passed away in 1940. The one Burl Finnegan we have, she's married to another guy named something Lawford, right? You know what I'm saying? It's just, both of her grandparents, supposedly the parents of Donald J. Harris, weren't married to each other. We got a documented proof that they were married to other people. You know what I'm saying? Like that's something there, dude. That's something fishy about it. And if you say anything, now you must be supporting Trump. What does that have to do with supporting Trump, bro? Just saying like, hey, this is weird. This story isn't lining up. That's deflection. You know what I'm saying? That's a deflection tactic. You know what I mean?
It just speaks to your credibility as a human being.
Right.
You can't even tell the truth about your family history. That's a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
it is, man.
But all right, man.
All right, then, man. I'm about to check out this latest episode. Maybe we got some more dropping up.
I'm gonna check it out too. Since you, send me the link. Send me the link.
Yeah. I didn't know, because I'm like, oh, she came out with another one. So the last one was I saw was 73.
I watched that one. The one you just said
yeah.
yesterday. I watched that one.
Yeah. Let me
All right.
All right then, homie.
Well, folks, we'll see y'all. Peace.
Peace and reparations.